All right, so let's get started here. Welcome to the Getting High Quality, High Ticket Leads with Meta Ads in 2026, specifically for garage door service companies. Now, first thing that I want to talk about is that mainly what I've found is that most garage door service companies across the country are either not using Meta Ads at all, which is the first mistake, or secondly, when they do run them, they really don't know what they're doing, and so they publish whatever they kind of think of, or they copy each other, and they probably put a really low budget of like $10 a day or something like that, and they just think of it like I'm just fishing, and I'll throw a hook out there, something that's not super high risk, and see what happens. And sometimes they get calls, and sometimes it works, but there's not really much else behind that. They just put it like, "Hey, call us," and they have a little call button, and then that's it. Um, but that's not how you use it to really force growth on your company, to actually be able to invest $1 and get $10 out by having an acquisition system that is powered by Meta Ads. And it's not their fault. It's not anyone's fault that they don't know how to use the Meta Ads. I mean, it's a skill, and you need a professional that understands how to use them right. And so what I'll go over here, I wanted to use two examples, and I hid the names of the companies because I didn't want to kind of call them out or anything like that. But here's a prime example. The first one is that they're not using them. So looking at this, these two ads are in Atlanta, Georgia. And if you're in Atlanta, you might recognize one of these brands just by the colors, which is a good thing on the left-hand side. But on the right-hand side, it's probably kind of generic. Like those colors, I mean, I know I've seen the same exact colors everywhere, but that's a different topic, actually. The main thing that you can see is that there's just two companies. There's just two companies running ads on Facebook in all of Atlanta. If you go on Google and you search for a garage door service repair or company or installers or whatever on Google, there is pages and pages of competitors on Google. On Facebook, there's two. It's a really big difference. So if you know how to use Facebook ads, or you're using them, whether yourself or with someone who you work with to run them for you, and they do it effectively, then you get a jump on everybody else because you can put yourself in front of everyone, and in terms of like your market, and you can put offers out there and get them before they ever go to Google, before they ever look for your competitors. They may come to you first. And you have a much better chance of that happening instead of trying to be the first on Google, which of course at that point they have a lot of intent, and so they are more likely to call you and want to book right away and that sort of thing. But if you show up in a different sort of journey, which I'll talk about soon, using Facebook ads properly, then you jump that whole cycle where they start to look for someone to help them, and instead of going to Google, they go straight to you. So the other part of the ads is that they're not structuring these ads properly. So I'll give an example. If you look at the company on the right, or the ad on the right, first of all, where's the logo? You might kind of guess if you kind of like squint your eyes a little bit that the logo is in the top left-hand corner of that image there. But otherwise, you can't really see the name of the company, and you can't really see what's who the company is. And two, you see that they have garage doors on the ads, which is great. You want to have your product in the ad so people know, oh, this is about garage door openers or garage doors or whatever it is. So that they're doing correctly on the right-hand side there. But everything else, that even the letters on the creative here, they're so tiny that someone who's scrolling, that they don't want to invest the mental energy to try to squint and read this ad because they haven't even been given a reason to want to even investigate any further. So that's also missing from this ad. And so those are just a few things, and we're going to cover in more detail what those things that are missing. But there's a lot of very specific elements that need to be in place to make an ad work, and most of them are missing from this. So this ad, I wouldn't hesitate to believe that this one's not doing very well at all. And I'm not even sure what they did on the actual management or publication side of it inside of the Facebook ads manager. So I have no clue how this is performing. Now on the left-hand side, what I want to point out here is that here's what they're doing right. Garage door repair. At least you kind of know the subject matter of the ad. It's got some sort of branding on it, which is good as well, so that you can kind of, if they have the same colors and the same logo, and if you've seen the name of the company as well, it's kind of distinctive as well, which is great because you want to know that when someone sees your brand, they know it's you, instead of it being like, I don't know who's who, which is a big part of the problem when you answer the phone and call your clients or you call your leads back and they're like, I don't know who this is. I don't know which one is which. It's because all the companies look the same. And so they have a really good play here by being distinctive and being something that stands out, so that when you say, oh, this is blah, 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 garage door company, they're like, oh yeah, you're the one with the blank. You're the one with the thing. That's what you want in terms of the way that you present yourself. It makes a huge difference. So in any case, that's what they're doing well. The downside is that, yes, there is a roll-up garage door here. And I would assume that they want to sell more roll-up garage doors. Otherwise, you actually might miss that, especially since it's a static image. And that's kind of what's missing there. Also, they call out the residents of that area. They're saying, hey, Atlanta, that's also a good thing that they're doing here. And they're giving a call to action. All those things are great. I would say what's missing is there's no offer. So let's go into more detail of what's going on here. So the result that you want here is the result of this presentation is to help you realize that a lot of companies, a lot of the competitors in your market are relying on Google Maps and SEO for their lead generation, or Craigslist, or HomeAdvisor, or Yelp, or whatever the case is. And they get a certain kind of lead from those platforms. They get people that are like ready to go right now, but it's a platform designed to have that. However, those people are not loyal at all. And it's the same for Facebook ads in the sense that people aren't necessarily as loyal, which is a different marketing thing altogether. But because of that, the way that people behave from Facebook ads leads a lot of people to believe that they just don't work, or they think theoretically, well, people need, emergency repair, and so they're going to go on Google, and if emergency repair is the only thing that you do, then you're right. I wouldn't do emergency repair on Facebook either. It becomes too expensive for something that's not going to pay for itself and leave you a sustainable profit to actually reinvest and have a profit that's worth your while with emergency repair, in my experience. And so what ends up happening is that if you get leads from Google, in your SEO, if you have that working for you, if you get leads from HomeAdvisor and Yelp and Craigslist, then because you're accustomed to working with a certain kind of lead, when you get leads from Meta, you have the wrong expectations completely around how to deal with them. And yet, I have seen companies that have been able to scale to $50 million a year with at least 60 to 70% of their entire marketing budget specifically in Facebook ads. I kid you not, it's not an exaggeration. I did not run their ads, so I'm not claiming that I did that, but I know what their numbers were. And this is a contractor in Pennsylvania that was able to do this. And I know that personally. It's not fake or just something I'm making up. It's true. It's real. And so if you have the right expectations and you have the right system in place to work Facebook ads correctly, or Meta ads, now they call it Meta, right? If you have the right system in place to work your Meta ads, then you can invest more money and have more output and force that growth directly with Facebook ads. And so that is the power of it. You just have to have your expectations set correctly and have the system in place to handle those correctly. And so, of course, the whole goal of this is to have the ability to drive sales, to say, I need to grow from here to here. I want to hire this much crew. I need this many leads to be able to generate enough sales to pay that crew so that I don't have to be in the field anymore and I can continue working on my admin. Or I want to grow from where we are per year from here and grow it to here. So how do I force that growth? Well, once you get flight, once you can find the balance with making Facebook ads profitable, then you can do that. And you can do it consistently and you can do it on demand. I have clients that sometimes will say, hey, I want to go on vacation. Can you shut off the ads? And we can do that. And when they come back, hey, I want to run the ads again. Okay, cool. Turn them back on. and then leads continue to flow. And so it's a little bit like a faucet. I don't recommend that. It's actually a little bit damaging to the data, but some people want to do that, and it's not the end of the world, and we can still make that work. However, if you're at a certain scale, you can just leave it on and keep on rolling. And so that is part of the power of this. So I'm going to break down how to create ads in Meta using a 4-part framework that we use at Stratton. The first part of it is the offer. You have to have an offer on all of your ads. If there's no offer, then you lose a lot of the power to actually to get someone to want to take action to work with you, to have you come out to their house. However, it can backfire. So there's a balance there. The second part of it is on the right-hand side is the creative. So the creative is a big part of the heavy lifting to making all of this work as well. So as you can see, if I show you what was going on over here, this is what I mean by creative, the visual thing that you show people. If your creative isn't structured correctly, then you're going to be, people are just going to gloss over your ad. They just kind of like see some stuff and then they move right past it because their attention span is really, really low, and they're looking for, give it to me easy, give it to me fast, entertain me now, give me a reason to want to pay attention like in a split second. So you have to have the right elements in place for that to be possible. The offer part, you can see that this one has a lot of good elements, but it's missing the offer. There's no specific concrete numbers or offer in there that a person can say, I want that, give me that thing. That is a big part of the reason to act on an ad. So that's why offer and creative have to go together. Excuse me. The last 2 parts of this are follow-up. Your follow-up needs to be very on point, and I recommend using automations for this. However, some markets are resistant to certain kinds of automation, so you have to find your balance in your way to do it, but there's a standard approach that works very well. You want to use automations as much as you can to the extent that the market will allow you, without being disingenuous. And the last part of it is trust. You have to have a layer of trust across your platform, your ads, your social media profiles. You have to be communicating competency, that you are human, that you are a real person, that you're someone who looks like they're trustworthy. You have to connect all of those things. So when someone comes and sees your ad and then they say they don't opt in, they go to your Facebook page and they go check out your website, look at your reviews. All of the visual elements have to communicate everything that creates trust in that customer, in that homeowner. And if it doesn't do that, then you just blend in with everybody else. So there's ways to do this. And oftentimes you need to do it quickly, especially if they don't know who you are. If you're able to establish a very strong, real, resonant, like emotional, like resonance as soon as possible in that ad itself, then you can have them skip that process of investigation and just take action and communicate with you. Oftentimes they will opt in anyways because the ad did its job, but then they'll pause and they'll hesitate and they won't schedule. So then they'll do their research afterwards because they don't want to have a remorse. So then all they're doing is building up trust. So trust at every single touch point that you can possibly work into your flow, the better. And so that's why trust is a big element here. And trust, really, it's not a part of the process. This is something you imbue with every single other part of the elements here. So that's why I put it there. So let's go into the offer. Let's break down what is a good offer. What kind of offer should you use? For Meta specifically, you have to have 4 core elements for your offer to work. The first one is you need to be speaking to the right kind of customer, because if you have people that want that if you're speaking to the wrong kind of person, then it's not going to work. So let me just go through the 4 and then I can explain that more. So speaking to the right kind of customer for the right platform, in this case, we already know it's Meta, whether Facebook or Instagram. It's the same, it's owned by the same company, Facebook. Or whether Meta is the name of the company now, they changed the name, and then they have Facebook the platform and Instagram the platform. And so it's all owned by Meta. And then you have product, and then which is what you're selling, what you're trying to offer, service, product or service. I just use the name interchangeably, but I mean the same thing, whether it's for a repair or for a spring replacement or for a new door installation or whatever the case is, the service product. And also you may be selling the service of installation, but the door is the product. They want that door, I want this or that. So you can kind of marry those two there a bit. and then economics. So let's go into this a little bit more. So offer. What is a good offer for Meta? So there's a lot of stuff going on the screen here, but I'll start over here on the left. So an offer needs to speak to a certain kind of customer. There's, one of the first principles of marketing is that not all customers are the same. Not all customers are the same. There are pockets of archetypes of different kinds of people in your city, and your offer has to resonate with a certain personality type, a certain desire that the person has, a certain basically what you would describe as a quality lead. What we're talking about when we say quality leads, we're talking about a human being that has a problem, that is looking for a solution, and has found somebody who can provide that solution, and they trust them as well. So there's a lot of levers that we can put our hands in there and really work that to make it work, which is what produces a quality lead. But of course, if the person is has terrible credit and has no money in the bank, but they have a need, then our offer needs to be done in such a way that we're not speaking to them, because unless you have something to help them, then we're not speaking to them. We want to repel them, and repel people with, for example, people with good credit, people with plenty of money in the bank where they can actually pay, thousands of dollars for a door replacement or whatever. And you can actually reach them on the platform. So let's see what that looks like. So customer has disposable income or good credit. Obviously, we need people with money who have purchasing power. Lives in your area, so of course, obviously. And then the purchase journey. That's what I mean by, okay, this person, for example, has a garage door that's just outdated. Their journey from going from, I need a new garage door, all the way to purchasing a garage door is going to be much different than somebody who has a garage door that is broken and they can't open it and it's a disaster and they have an emergency right now. Their journey to getting that repair done is going to be very different. And so that's an important part of this. So if the person has an emergency, we talked about this before, they're not going to go on Facebook to find you. However, if you've been running ads on Facebook and they've seen your ads, they know the name of your company, they may search your company name first, which is a big part of the reason why we like to do brand response marketing, which is what we're doing here. And so that purchase journey is important. And we want the offer to match the purchase journey that matches the platform. So that's what we're talking about here. We have the customer. They have the right money. They live in the service area that you're serving. It's the correct purchase journey, and they have the primary desire for the product that you are selling, or the service that you're selling. So this needs to connect like a puzzle piece with the platform. And so you want a platform that's going to get in front of them when, hey, my garage door is looking ugly. I need an upgrade. My neighbor's just got this beautiful, sexy, big glass door that looks beautiful, and I have this old busted door that looks like it's about to fall apart. And I don't want to look like the neighbor in the area that has the ugliest house. I want to at least keep pace with them so that I don't look like whatever. Now they have a motivation to upgrade their door, but they're not going to take action instantly. They're going to do some research. Now, if you've been showing beautiful doors on Facebook, then you have an opportunity to keep getting in front of them. And the algorithm is really smart. They're listening to us and all the devices around us, and they're almost getting in our subconscious minds, and they know what we're thinking and what we're going to do before we do it. So your ad, if it's structured well, is going to be getting in front of them to show them, hey, we have these beautiful doors, right? And so that's why the platform for this is perfect. Now, the platform has to have the ability to target people in your area, and it has to have the ability to give you the power to position yourself, to look different, to stand out. And that's the beauty of Facebook ads, is that you can have all of the flexibility in terms of the colors, the fonts, the logo you choose, the way that you present yourself entirely, the way that the content, all the videos, the images, everything. You have full control over the impression, the positioning. Do I look premium, or do I look like I'm fast and cheap? You can control that perception on Facebook entirely, which is the power of it. And that, of course, connects with the type of customer. The customer may say, I want a new garage door, and I want this kind of garage door. I want this kind of company to install it for me, do I want the cheapest guy to install it, or do I want a company that looks established who may cost more, but I can trust they're going to do it right the first time and I don't have to worry? They're looking for signals of competence, and you can create that perception with the platform. And so that's what you want here in that instance. Now the product, it needs to be something that you can sell or demonstrate on the platform. So these are puzzle pieces: customer, platform, now product or service. It needs to all connect like puzzle pieces. And the product needs to be something, again, needs to work for the platform. If you're doing a service, you can still do it on Facebook. It's just that the platform is meant as a form of entertainment or a way to educate people in a very simple way. But it's better if you can entertain people. And oftentimes what I've found is that if you show someone a beautiful garage door, or you even show them a standard door, but you show them something interesting about that kind of door, or you show them something, but you can show them the thing instead of just having words in the ad, and you can have them stop and be interested in what you're showing. So the product needs to be something that makes sense for the platform. So that's how that connects. And I don't remember what I was talking about, but targeting ability, positioning, again, looks like I repeated these. Okay, well, anyways, the product, it needs to connect with the platform, and it needs to be something you can show. So that's what I meant to say there. This is just as a reminder, but I must have repeated myself. Anyways, the economics. Now, this part is, of course, each of these customer, platform, product, economics, they're like cylinders in an engine. They all need to be firing for the engine to function. If any one of them is out, the engine doesn't work. So the economics is the other part of this. You have to be making enough money when you make a sale to cover the expense of the ads and also make enough profit to make it worth your time. And so this is why I recommend the highest ticket thing you can sell on Facebook. And the way you can kind of measure that is, what is your average ticket, how much revenue you're bringing on average per sale, minus the cost to acquire that customer. If you're making an average of $1,500 profit, as an example, per sale, and your cost to acquire that sale was $500, as an example, then of course you profited $500. Sorry, $1,000. It's three parts to the cost, which means you have $1,000 left over from profit, so that you can reinvest. You've already paid the cost of acquisition, so that $500 can be used to acquire the next customer, and you have $1,000 that can be used for whatever. But controlling those numbers, controlling those variables, and having the ability to make sure that average ticket is high enough to consistently cover the cost to acquire is how we get this airplane in flight and keep this system working. Otherwise, you're just spending money and you're losing money, and that doesn't work. So we have to control those variables with a lot of discipline and with a lot of intention for this whole system to function. Excuse me. Okay, so here are some examples of offers that we're talking about here. So, okay. If you're marketing a new full view glass doors for $150 a month, that's the offer. This much, we're able to get it for as low as $150 a month for a new full glass door. The customer, if they have the money for something like that, we hit the nail on the head on there, because now you're talking to that kind of person. And you see $150 a month. If you can afford $150 a month, you have self-selected. Kind of like when you're driving through a neighborhood where you see a bunch of home builders, they have these big signs that say from this much per month, or in terms of home sale prices, from the 300s, from the 500s, from the 700,000. If you cannot afford $700,000 for a home, or at least you don't think you could, you're not going to go and drive in there. I mean, most people are not going to go over there and drive there and do an open house and talk to a realtor from that home builder community if they can't afford $700,000. They have self-selected where they can go. And so that is the power of being honest about what the monthly payments could be on something like a full view glass door. And so that is self-selection, and having the price on there works. So the customer there is check, that works. Now platform, glass doors work fantastic and are beautiful to show on the platform. It's an entertainment value, especially if it's done correctly. So platform, check, that works. Product, I mean, it works in connection with the platform. It works in connection with the customers. Check. And those can be pretty high ticket items. The economics there can be pretty good if you're profitable enough and you're able to sell and to keep that high, the average ticket high enough. What's another offer? New garage door installs starting at $21.20 as an example. Again, self-selection. You got the customer in there, showing them the kind of door that you're selling. The platform, again, works. You can demonstrate the door. Product, you can show the product, and economics. Again, if there's enough profit there, you can make that work. $70 tune-ups as an example. This is something that works, and I know, and I have clients that run tune-ups, and it's part of our strategy actually. However, if you only run tune-ups, what ends up happening is that you're running around looking for, let's say you get 5 actual scheduled appointments for your tune-ups. You go out to all 5. You may upsell the overall revenue you generate and profit you generate for the amount of running around that you do can start to feel like it's not worth it, especially if you have one week that's really great and you crush it that week, and the next week, you have someone throw you out of their house, or you just have a bad week. Then it becomes like, oh, I'm doing all this work and it's not worth it to me. So tune-ups have a place. So that's why the economics in terms of actual money, revenue brought in, and the sacrifice and time and effort and the gas and everything else to do that may not really work that well. But if you pair that with a door campaign that's actually working in your area, then you can get the magic of both, and it doesn't feel like that. Now, emergency anything, I don't recommend, because again, we talked about it before. People are not on Facebook trying to solve their emergency. You can get leads. Yes, you can get sales this way, but the cost to acquire that emergency lead is going to be way too high. And it's not worth it. You want people that are, if you're going the route of repairs, and a repair that a person's reluctant to do, like, oh, my door is screeching and it's let's say it's stuck. But they don't use the garage door to park inside. They just, have it as a storage area, and it's not an emergency. They're sitting on a nail, and people who are sitting on the nail, that's the sweet spot, because that's where there is a little bit of time there where you can get in front of them and you can show them your offer. You can use your creative to capture their attention, and then you can actually get them to book with you and pull them off the nail and help them solve the problem. And so those are the best. But emergency anything, acting right now, that platform is not the right thing for that. So let's talk about creative. What does creative look like? That's the second element here on the thing. Creative needs to look authentic. If you're using AI and it looks like AI, you're dead in the water. A lot of people, especially now, we're kind of maturing. Humanity is kind of maturing with AI. People are getting more resistant to AI. And so authentic is just the best way to go, in my opinion. All of those little imperfections, the ums, the uhs, all of the, whatever, whenever you're speaking, you don't sound perfect. You sound mostly competent like a normal human being. That's great. You want that. And so we want to use authentic as much as we can, which is a big part of the strategy that Strident uses. You also want to be professional. In my recommendation, when you're doing marketing videos, even if you don't look this way, which I recommend, of course, that you appear this way with your shirt with a logo and shirt tucked in, nice pants, a belt, and having a clean cut appearance, especially on your ads, because that first impression makes all the difference. And so you want your ads to appear professional, the way that you look and the way that the colors work and the way that everything is designed needs to appear like a solid brand, a brand that is professional. And you can create that impression through the design and through the humans or the people that you show in the ads, which I recommend showing people, so that people can the homeowner is going to look at that ad and say, would I trust that person in my house? And so you want to be able to make that answer be yes. That looks like somebody I might trust by the way that they're dressed and the way that they speak, so on and so forth. And then the last part of it is you want to show the product, show the service, show the thing that you're selling. If you hide it, if you make it sort of like inferred, if they can't immediately just sort of be scrolling pretty quickly and just spot, oh, garage door, or oh, that guy looks like he's working on a garage door opener, you know, whatever it is. If they can't quickly spot that, then you're not showing the product, and you're going to really lose a lot of leads because it's just not showing the product. And people have to read, and reading takes effort. Seeing an object doesn't take effort to recognize what it is. Reading takes effort, so you want to flip that. A quick story: when I was in South America for 3 months, there's a lot of people in South America that don't know how to read. And yet these people have money and they need to buy services and goods and whatever else. So what I found was that there is advertisements everywhere that have the words of whatever it is that they're selling, but even on the side of a wall, they will paint, if they have to, an image of the thing that they sell. Even for a turbo in a car, for example, they will put a picture of a turbo of a car so that you can see it from a wall on the highway or whatever, so that you know, oh, they sell turbos. I need a turbo for my car, but they would not have been able to read turbos, right? So that is a big part of the reason that use the image of the thing that you're selling at the most basic level. So I used these. Oh, I'm going to skip those because I showed those before. Okay, so here are an example of just examples. I've used these as a template in some instances for ads, but here are the elements that you can see. So for one, on the left-hand side, there's a technician working on a garage door. So as you're scrolling, you'll see the garage door, you'll see the spring, and you'll know, oh, that looks like a garage door spring. So you're more likely to capture their attention from the visual. There's somebody working, it looks like a professional, has got gloves on. It's a real picture, so it's a little bit grainy, better if it was sharper, but the point is that it's a real picture, and so it feels authentic. And the guy looks professional, so that's all great as well. There's an offer on it. You know what you're getting, at least you have enough of a curiosity to open up the ad and read the text of the ad, but you can see that there's a specific offer. What is it? It's for a tune-up. How much is it? It's $79. You know this immediately. Ideally, there'd be a logo on there that's very easy to see. And then you have some little trust elements there at the bottom, you know, but of course, again, trust needs to be imbued with everything you do. Design, the words, just as much as you can pack into something, you need to pack all the trust you can get. There's a deficit of trust in contractors in most cities. So use every chance you have to create trust in people. Now over to the right, there's a garage door. There's a homeowner who's happy. That's an AI generated image. So you don't really want to use that. But if you can have a real picture of a garage door and have a technician looking sharp with the homeowner in front of the garage door, smiling, you know, standing there, that's going to go way further because you're like, wow, the homeowner there is happy with the garage door. There they are next to a garage door. That catches their attention, builds a lot of trust. And then, of course, again, it shows you, it says what it is so that there's any doubt. They can read it there. Garage door service. Very simple. There's a guy that's smiling. There's a price on it, or at least a starting price, self-selection. And then new garage doors starting at $21.97 as an example. So now you're helping people self-select. And then of course, all the trust elements there. So again, I put down here a little note, using AI, there should be real pictures of people. Those are just some examples of things that you can do with static images and the different elements. The same thing is true for videos. There's a lot more you can do with videos, which is something that I like to use at Strident. But it's the same elements just in a video format. And that basically, well, all there is to say on that. You just have more opportunities there to build trust and to show people things and to show them the door that you're working with, show them the product. So that's why videos are powerful. Now, follow-up. This is the key part. If you have offers working, creatives getting their attention, people are opting in, and then you fail on the follow-up, nothing else matters. And you're just going to blow a bunch of money and you're going to think that meta ads don't work. I had a client once who told me that they're too big to follow up. And I realized that they just have the wrong expectations for how meta ads are supposed to work, which is why a lot of the time it used to be that marketing agencies used to recommend that they either hire somebody to be the person who follows up and give them a specific cadence of follow-up, or to hire a company that does this sort of thing, a call center. because it does take some time and effort to call them. However, because of AI and because of automations, that is not as an important part of this anymore. You can still benefit greatly from that, but if you're a smaller company that doesn't have the capital ready or ability to do that, follow up can be done with AI, and we use it as Stratton significantly as a big part of this to make it work. And there's a way to do it right. And so let's talk about follow up. So here are just a few simple keys. And also follow-up looks a little bit different depending on the market that you're in and the positioning of your company. I've seen that in some markets, you can go 100% AI and people will schedule through the robots, the text messages, and you're golden and everything's good. Other places, people are very resistant to the AI and they don't want to deal with AI at all. And you need to have more of a manual approach. And so there's still, in some markets, the need to do that. It just depends where you're located and the approach that you take. And so it can be a combination of the two, and we try our best to combine these different tools to lift some of the load, especially for a smaller company that is not able to hire people to do this. So anyways, so the first touch needs to be within 5 minutes. Ideally, as soon as the lead comes in, it should just be like to your phone, answer them and call them back, or call them. And this is with a notification when a person opts into a form, not when a person is calling inbound. You can do inbound calls as well, but I'm talking about just when a lead comes in and they've hit your phone, you got to call them within 5 minutes. Ideally, it hits your phone and it calls you immediately, so you can call them and you can schedule them. Second is you have to have the ability, give them the ability to schedule once they've opted in. Don't rely on having to call them. Like they're hot now. Like they're in the moment. They're doing this task of like, I need to talk to somebody to get a new garage door opener or whatever. Give them the ability to schedule right now, because that they're in a momentum in the right direction you want them to go. So give them that opportunity. You'll see that if you do that, your schedule rate will go up. And so if your schedule rate goes up, your sales opportunities goes up, and you get more sales in the end. It's just a no-brainer. You have to offer them the ability to schedule immediately. And because of AI, you can have them schedule calls at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that is a huge part of the reason you want to have that as well, paired with an automation tool like AI. And then also, if they don't schedule through the automations, if they don't answer the phone, you want to have a system in place that will text them at least 7 times. I know that we don't want to bother people. I know that we don't want to be a pest to people. But I mean, if you, and this is real, with a gentle, tastefully done follow-up of at least 7 touches, you will lift your acquisition by about 10% of all your leads. 10% over the course of a year adds up quite substantially. And done tastefully, you won't see as many people responding, stop and leave me alone or whatever. It does happen. In some weeks, for whatever reason, there'll be more people that are saying stop and then just removing themselves from your list naturally. And then other weeks, there's nobody who's saying stop, because if you do it tastefully, and also the moods of people, things happen in the markets and people get stressed about what's happening in the economy and politics and whatever. And so they become more agitated easily. And, you can't do anything about that. All you can do is stay consistent with a system that works, and, understand that it's not the end of the world. You're not getting people to leave you messages on Google reviews saying that, you texted them too many times. Like, we're trying to avoid that. So there's a tasteful balance there. And it's worth doing. So 7 touches is my bare minimum recommendation there. And that's what we have set up for most of our clients. And so here's just a few key points to the follow-up on that first touch. I'm going really into the weeds here with you guys. So the first part is force call connect. So when the lead comes in, and we can set it up for you so that they don't get calls at 4 o'clock in the morning. It waits until 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. And when the lead comes in, then it force calls somebody on your team, and it says, hey, you have a lead who's trying to schedule. You had somebody who just opted in. Call them now to help them schedule. And then they click a button, and then it connects them to the lead, and then they can actually handle it. That way, if you're in a truck, if you're driving around, if you're doing whatever, you get interrupted with a productive call that will help you make a sale. And so that is the idea between the force call. There's different ways to do it. Not everybody likes it like that. And so, but that's a tool in the toolbox that really helps to lift the response time. And of course, customers have an incredible impression of your company when you're professional and you talk and you reach out to them, and there's a real person reaching out to them immediately. Because in a lot of markets, I mean, it's like pulling teeth to get someone to come out to you just to answer the phone. And so if you have a system like this, you can incredibly increase that first impression with a system like this. The second part of this is when you do send that initial text message, knowing and remembering that these people oftentimes are reaching out to multiple companies as soon as they get an ad that they see, or they're on Google or whatever, they're getting several people to call them at once. So if you are one of the first and you send them a text message immediately, no matter the time of day, that just says, hey, I got your message. I'll call you during normal business hours. And you give them an image, or you give them something to remember your company, and give them a face so that you can build trust right away. Then you've immediately set yourself apart from everybody else, because no one is messaging them that quickly, or very few people are. And two, you're building trust with them. And so you create the distinctiveness, you build trust, and you make everything work. And you do it automated. And of course, you want to do it 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. in the morning if they've opted in, at 12 o'clock at night. And you want it to be within 5 minutes, ideally instantly. And automations make it much easier to do this instantly. So those are the main way to make these key elements make follow-up work. Of course, instant scheduler. So aside from that, you want it to be from your ad to a scheduler of whether it's a landing page or it's something else. Just ask them to schedule as soon as possible. And if they don't schedule, then it's very powerful to have AI in some tasteful manner invite them to schedule. And the AI scheduler, depending on where we're doing it, can absolutely increase, and I've seen this, it increases your booking rate by about 20%. And so that is huge. In a lot of cases, that's a doubling of booking rates, which means that they're essentially going to be able to double their sales, because now their sales opportunities doubled from 20 to 40. That's a big difference. And that means that their actual cost to acquire was halved, cut in half. So big deal. It's really important to have that in place. Okay, follow-up, 7 touches, keep it tasteful. You don't want to make people feel ignored, but you don't want them to feel like they are doing anything wrong by ignoring, or whatever the case is. People get busy, they're still on the fence, maybe they're sitting on that nail, they had a moment where they're like, someone said something to them that got them, anxious, and they saw your ad and they opted in, and then they backed off, and they're not so, hot about solving the problem, but they already contacted you. And if you just tastefully drip on them a little bit and offer help, and you do it in a kind way, you'll get some people to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I want that. And then if you have AI doing it, then they'll be able to respond, and they'll be able to book with no human involved. And now you have a new scheduled appointment, and then you have the reminders and everything out from there that should be automated as well. And it gives them space, because some people, they go through that process, that little bit of a, that's okay. Just because leads come in and they don't answer means you have an opportunity in the hopper. You have a pipeline that has grown now. And some of them are just not ready to work with anybody. And if you're not contacting those people on the regular, then you're not going to get that smaller percentage anyways. It's money that's just, it's been never, you can't help those people, and it's just opportunity that never gets acquired. So lift your total leads to conversions by 10 to 15% with quality follow-up. Now, trust. The last part of this is the trust part. Now, let's talk about the customer's journey here. So trust, purchase journey. The person, again, I talked about this a little bit before, I'll go over it again. Person becomes problem aware. I need a new garage door. I need to fix my garage door opener. My door is screeching and I need someone to help me fix it. The panels came flying off and I almost, almost hurt my dog or whatever. They have a problem. And there is a journey, a set of steps that they go through to resolving that problem. And trust helps them short circuit that journey and have them choose you, right? And so they have a problem, they see your ad. And your ad ideally has elements in there to immediately build trust with them so that they trust you and they know that you're competent. They know that you have a good intention to do right by them, that you're fair, and that you're going to be able to solve the problem that they have. They need to have, those are the main trust signals there. And so that's the first part. After they opt in, then that first touch needs to reinforce and be consistent with that initial impression that they had of you and of your company. Then what's going to happen is that they may still, that trust, think of it like each person has a meter inside their stomach or something in their chest. And their trust may be just high enough for them to take a certain action. And that meter needs to just keep on going up, 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 up in order for them to take action. And also their problem, the strength of their problem needs to also be at that rate as well. But, there's ways to work with that as well. However, well, I've found the best performance being trust. The person's already got their life to deal with, which is where the problem comes in. And some marketing that tries to drive pain up can work, but the trust, it suffers because you only have so much space to work with the different levers you're moving. And so anyways, follow-up. Now, follow-up, like I mentioned, you want those to continue to build trust and give them space. If the person has gone through ad and they have the first touch, they have not opted in, there's some time that they're taking to respond to you or schedule with you, they're going to check out your meta profiles, Facebook and Instagram. They're going to check out your website. If they're still considering that trust meter hasn't been fully filled up, they're going to check out your Google reviews, probably is the first thing they do, honestly, or one of the very first things you do. And then what happens is, as they're doing this, when they get that, if they may forget because they got interrupted, something happened, if they get the next message, hey, appointments are, limited, whatever the message says, maybe I can help you with your garage door, whatever it is. Person goes, oh yeah, let me schedule with these people because I remember who they were. They scroll up, they see whatever trust asset thing that you sent them that helps them remember, oh yeah, this is that company, that XYZ, that distinctiveness. And then trust meter is high enough, and then they schedule. And so this is the sort of journey that they go through, and trust helps shorten that journey. There is speed in trust. There is speed in trust, and that's an important concept to remember. There's a book called The Speed of Trust, actually, and it's true. So that's the 4-part framework. Those are a lot of elements that we've covered. I hope that it was valuable to you. I hope that you are able to take some of these ideas and apply them to your business and get a fantastic result with them, and that you accomplish your goals, and that you grow prosperous, and you have a great life because of it. Now, if you want help with your implementation of Facebook and Meta ads, please go to stridenwith2ns.com/apply, and we might be able to work together, and hopefully we'll be able to actually implement some of these strategies for you and go into more depth on that call. We would be applying for a lead flow acceleration session where we'll actually go into your Facebook profiles, we'll look at the offers you are running, we'll look at your competitors, and we'll give you an idea of where you sit, and we'll be able to identify, here's what we can do for you, and see if there's a match, and maybe we can help you. So go ahead and click on that link now, and if it's something that you'd like to do, and hopefully we can help you, and if not, I hope that you found value, and take care.